Hello there. My name is Cozy Stone. And if you're looking at my face on a Tuesday at 2 o'clock, you are watching Cozy Up and Pay Attention, the Parent Edition. I've got another fabulous parent guest host for you today. Her name is Joy Lynn Ross. And if you would take a breath and let it out, we'll be right back.
Cozy Stone is a multi-talented comedian extraordinaire who has a real lust for life. She also combines humor and motivation, where she is known as a humorvational speaker. Her youthful ways and positive light make her a beacon for those of all ages. Cozy has lived a remarkable life that has paved the way for so many. She had the longest-running open mic venue of 11 years at Tommy Rockers in Vegas, called Cozy's Comedy Corner, through which she introduced many up-and-coming comedians. Before going into comedy, she was one of the first female personal trainers and one of the top fitness trainers in the world. She has trained many greats such as Billie Jean King, Roberta Flack, Andrew Young, Ed Bradley, CCH Pounder, Al Pacino, and Earl Monroe. As a former competitive bodybuilder, she also owned a bodybuilding gym for women over 40 in Los Angeles for several years. She has worked in top positions for HBO, Playboy, and Tony Robbins. She also enjoys volunteer work, dedicating time to the New York Foundling Hospital and babies with AIDS. Cozy Stone has a message that shouldn't be missed.
Where's my wonderful girl? Hi, Joy Lynn.
Hello, Miss Cozy Stone. How are you today?
I am breathing and I am grateful. If you give me 1 minute before you and I get into our interview, I always like to say to my audience, we know that there is no such thing as a perfect parent. We know for the most part, parenting does not come with a manual. This show is not at all, has nothing to do with parent shaming. What this show is to bring responsible adults, parents who are and have created responsible adults who are giving out the love, the sacrifice, and all of what it takes to, again, bring and create responsible adults. And our wonderful guest today is the Ignatic, is that, did I say that correct? Guest, Joy Lynn Ross.
Woohoo! So happy to be here. Thank you, Cozy.
So, because we both have restraints today, we're going to go straight into the interview. And what I'd like to do is give the guest an idea of your background. We are all the sum product of where we came from. So, tell me, please, where did your parents where were they born, and where did they meet?
They were born in Ohio, Columbus, Ohio, the Buckeye State, and they met in high school.
Wow. Okay. And they had you. Do you know how old they were, or your mom? Well,
yes, my mom was just young enough where once the school found out she was pregnant with me, she got kicked out. Remember those days? You had to hide the pregnancy, so she was just young enough to get kicked out of high school.
Wow. So you were born in Columbus, Ohio.
Yes.
What part of your life did you in Columbus, Ohio? Your entire childhood until you became an adult?
Yes, born and raised in Columbus, Ohio, and I moved here to the still fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada. Not Nevada. See, when I wasn't from that, it was Nevada. Now that I'm from here, it's Nevada. So Nevada, 5.5 years ago.
All right. I say it the way I'm going to, but I'm not going to repeat that. How old were you? And I know it's part of your bio. Tell the audience how old you were when you had your first child.
I was 15 when I got pregnant with my first child, and I was 16 when I gave birth to my first child.
Wow. How long did you know, because you're children, how long did you know the young man before you got pregnant?
We met in 10th grade in high school. I gave birth in 11th grade. So we knew each other probably for about 7 to 9 months. Oh, yes, honey. He was the first one to tell me I was lovely, that I was gorgeous, that there was nothing wrong with this pretty brown, dark chocolate skin. So, honey, that's all he had to say, and the panties was down. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But kind of not when you're dealing with that growing up. And I had been overweight. And again, the whole light skin, dark skin thing within the Black community. And so I jokingly say, oh, the first boy who told me I was pretty, I was head over heels. But really, that's the truth.
But that's significant. That is why I delve into these questions before we get into how you handled it so wonderfully afterwards. And what you just said is probably more common than not. First boy that told you were pretty, you weren't feeling very secure about yourself. It goes without saying you had no idea about biology and how 1 and 1 made 3. Um, None of that. So this is important. And those of you who are listening out there, if you're young or you've experienced the same thing that Joy Lynn has experienced, again, what she did with that afterwards is all that matters. So my next question is really, when you met this person, was it his beauty, brawn, or his brains? It had nothing to do with any of that. It had everything, what you just told me, it had everything to do with he made you feel pretty.
Yes, because, if I'm being true and transparent, he was biracial. So he was mixed. He was light skinned. What? The pretty boy at school likes, what? It was all of those things. So it was him being light skinned, him
Wow.
being mixed, him being biracial. He could have had a white girl. He could have had a light skinned, pretty girl with a good hair like he had. But he chose me.
Wow. And then it does go without saying, but I want to say it anyway. Again, you had no idea when you dropped your panties and this act was committed, the ramifications of the afterwards.
No idea.
No one had ever had that conversation with you.
Not the way the conversation needed to be had. As parents, sometimes we think our children know so much already, and we assume and we make assumptions instead of just really taking time to have those hard conversations that really should be easy when you look at the different consequences, not just a pregnancy, AIDS, sexually transmitted diseases, being bound to another human being, not the one in your belly per se, being bound to another human being, not just for 18 years, but until somebody goes 6 feet under. It's this bond that you form, and you don't think about it at the time. Because my son's father, he was very, very, very abusive. And so with me having that son, everything was my child, my son. It was always a way for him to still find a connection toward me. And it was tormenting. It was horrifying. So there's so many things that you really don't think about. There is absolutely no crystal ball. There is discernment, and there is conversations from your parents, like I said, that I did not have the right conversations.
So would I be correct in assuming, you know what that word does, that once the doctor told you, and you didn't get your period, so you knew anyway, that you were pregnant, was there sheer fear, or even as a young girl, did you have a little fantasy, I'm gonna have a baby? Fear or fantasy, which one kicked in?
It was fear. There was no, oh, I want a baby. I want someone to love me. I want my baby alive to be alive for real. None of that. It was complete fear. And again, in all honesty and transparency, how do I get rid of this thing without anybody finding out?
Okay. So now you've got 2 children who've made another child. He had nothing to contribute. So did your parents or his parents help the both of you raise this new human being?
I can say I had amazing support, amazing help. I'm so glad I changed my mind from my initial thoughts on what I was going to do with this child growing inside of me. And I am glad that I chose to give birth to the child. And I am so blessed that I did have family to be there to support me and to guide me and to share different resources. And you talk about growing up fast. I've been a businesswoman since I gave birth. Being a mommy is a business. So I've been a businesswoman since I gave birth. That is something that I intentionally and consciously did. I said, I don't know what I'm doing. I have no idea what this is supposed to look like, but I'm going to treat this and I'm run this like it's a business that needs to be profitable and succeed and win. If that makes sense.
No, it all makes sense. And here's the reality. Anything and everything that comes out of your mouth, it makes sense because it's your reality. And that's what this show is. You are one of, we don't even know the numbers of women before you that may come after you that are in this situation right now. And the realities are what I want people to hear. This is not a joke. Now, again, you're both young. You're both still living in your homes. Did he or was he, well, did he at all? What was his contribution other than semen? What did he bring to the parenthood?
He kept the child while I finished school. We literally had to make this decision because I do remember being so angry at people not telling me about Title 20. That's what it was called back in Ohio, Title 20, where they would help you pay for childcare. I was literally working part-time jobs, going to school, and I was paying childcare by the hour, not knowing that there were resources out there to help me. So we're paying for childcare, just trying to figure out, okay, how can we both do this? He wasn't doing as well in school as I was doing in school. So we made a conscious decision, but it wasn't like twisting his arm where he's like, I'm failing anyway, or I've already failed. I'm getting ready to fail again. I'll just stay home and watch the baby. That way we don't have to pay anybody to watch the baby. So he took care of the baby while I finished high school. Like I can give him that 100%. We chose you or me, and we chose me.
Wow. Well, no, you chose us.
Yeah.
I mean, look, when you look at it, and as you're giving him the credit and kudos he deserves. So now my next question is generally, what did you both bring? Well, I guess I can still ask you this. Again, I want and your children, but it doesn't matter. You had your parents, you had your home, he had his own. From what you both learned from their separate homes, what did you have either in common or not in common while you're raising the baby? Because now he's home all day with his influence on this child.
Yes.
What did you agree on? What did you not agree
on? I will say we were so young. We were 16 and 17 that there weren't any arguments like that on whether we agreed on how he was being raised. There really wasn't. We were just trying to make it. We were trying to make it. There was no room for agreements or disagreements. It was just that grind, that hustle, that trying to make sure we could feed this child. And for me, I did going to school, worked. He would work a job here and there. Like I said, I was an intentional person. My very first job was with IBM. I've been nationwide insurance, then the phone lobbyist. So I've always been so adamant about being this business person, making sure I could take care of my child. I moved out when I was 17. And I can remember, I guess this is why I didn't have time to really agree or disagree with anything that was going on. I can remember really having to make a decision on, okay, do I buy diapers or do I buy maxi pads for me? Do the baby get diapers? Do I get maxi pads? Okay, the baby gets diapers and I get a roll of paper towels. I'm not trying to be, too much information, but this is what we go through. Not even just young mothers. There are mothers here. There are grown women. Okay, it's called period poverty. So that's what I experienced, where I would have to make decisions if I was going to buy the diapers, if I was going to buy the pads. Sometimes it was rolled up paper towels for me. The baby got the diapers. And then sometimes it was going to the thrift store and finding the diapers that our grandmas and our aunties used, the cloth diapers, washing them out in the toilet, washing them out in the sink. That was me.
Yes. I did those and I didn't give birth, but we're going to keep moving. Okay. So now I'm going to give you all of your kids just for a moment here for this next question. As you were raising your children, what could you hear in your ear that you heard growing up that you did to your children that one day they will all repeat to their children? I call it things that our parents said to us and we thought they didn't, well, it wasn't as if we didn't know what they were talking about, but these are words of wisdom that we just thought they were a pain in the you-know-what. So can you think of anything that you remember your mom or parents saying?
And people are going to agree and some people are going to disagree.
This is not that show. It's not about disagreeing. This is interview.
Exactly. Because you've heard the saying, don't ask why. If I say do it, just do it. Don't ask why. If I do it, just do it. Okay. And then we have a lot of people now who was like, well, the child needs a voice and the child needs to know why. And you need to express it throughout. By that time, the car has already ran you over and I'm burying you. Now we on GoFundMe because you want to know why I said stop, why I said don't. Okay. So that was one of the things. Don't ask why. But what I get about that now is I had to trust my parents. If they said don't, if they said stop, you don't ask questions, okay? You do it.
And that's why.
Yes.
That is why I asked that question. Now, in turn, because of times have changed and parenting has been written, if you will, you really still don't know if your kids may or may not say to their children. One day you'll sit there as a grandmother, and your daughter say, because I said so, and your neck will snap. Those are words of wisdom that will and probably has made a difference. But let's keep moving here because of time restraints. So let's get to the questions that you ask. Wow. So your first question is, were you prepared? Well, I'll put more in the front of your question. Were you more prepared mentally, emotionally, and or financially? And I think you've given us a little bit of those answers.
Oh,
the most you were prepared for, was it emotional? Was it mental? Because it surely wasn't financial.
It absolutely wasn't financial. If I had to pick from all of them, I would say probably more emotional. Like I said, I had to grow up quick.
Right.
I had to grow up really quick. And so not saying I was emotionally ready at 15 and 16, but
the question is, what were you the most prepared for?
Yes, emotionally.
That's a fair question when I'm talking to my parents. Which one of those three, your instance again, I could take financially off the prep. You made yourself emotionally prepared.
Yes, ma'am.
So we can get to this. Okay. And now this is good for your situation. How did you prepare? And you told us a little bit. Tell us a little more. How were you prepared to be the most emotionally prepared?
Absolutely not. I was so angry at myself for the decisions I'd made up until that point. I hated me. Therefore, I hated the world.
All right. Stop right there. Stop right there because I asked you the wrong question. Let's move on to the question you chose. Here's your question.
Okay.
Did you and your partner discuss disciplines before the child was born?
No.
Okay. So I'm gonna delve here a little bit. You had your first child with one gentleman, and you have 2 kids. You have 3 kids?
I have 3 more. I have 4 altogether. The other 3 with my husband.
All right. Let's put Nick in it. My baby. So let's include Nick now. because Nick came in while your son was young anyway,
Yes.
correct? So Nick is now the person we're going to conclude in these questions.
Okay.
Did you discuss, wow, thinking about Nick, uh, did you and Nick discuss disciplines as you were raising or before your children were born? So now Nick came from a certain background. You come from your background. How did you, what were some things that you agreed, this is what we're going to do? Not what you're not going to do. I only want to hear the things you were going to do.
We did not. And that is, if I could do that all over again, I'm telling you, we'd have the longest conversation because of his background and my background and how I was raised, how he was raised, his family, large, huge family, my smaller family. There were just totally different backgrounds, raised totally different. The whole we fight, but we love each other. Like we don't do that.
All right, wait, stop. Give me one off the top of your head. Give me one of the disciplines that you didn't agree on. Or give me one that you did agree on.
The one that we don't agree on, the one we don't agree on is the way we speak things. I believe words truly are power. So the biggest one, and this may seem so minute to anybody else, but you said this is about me, is when he calls my son the class clown. And I keep telling him, if that is what you keep calling him, that is what he is going to be. I give words so much power. I'm an author. I help people tell their stories and share their messages and deliver their testimonies through the written word for a living. So I know the power of words. So he doesn't see it as that. It's like, oh, look at the class clown. And my skin crawls because my belief is that words are powerful. And if you keep telling a child that and saying that, then that is who they shall become, unless you got a mama like me rebuking it every single time.
All right, calm down. Let's go to the next question. Okay, and so this is similar to that last question about the mantra. And you can include Nick in this too. How much of your parents' disciplines did you use? I mean, so what, you got pregnant at 15. Let's put that on the side for a moment. Up until you were told you were pretty, they were telling you, clean your room, get good grades, how many of your parents' disciplines did you use, do you still use? Because that one you just mentioned is yours.
Yes, that one's mine. As far as the discipline, the one that I did use is that when you had chores, you had dishes, you had the trash. If you said goodnight and I noticed that there were still dishes, there was still trash, I don't care if it was 1 a.m., 2, 3, 4, you got up and you handled your chores. You did what you were supposed to do.
Good.
That I carried on from what my parents taught me. Get it done. Get it done.
Okay. My parent last week said chores was the least, grades was the most. But that's about these shows. Getting an idea of each one of you, because at the end of the day, you all have responsible adults. You're raising great. All right, let's get to the next one. Explain an unexpected challenge raising all 4 of them. You can take one kid, 2 kids, you can take them collectively. What was the 15? Let's go by 15. You're past that. You've handled that.
Mm-hmm.
Or what was an unexpected challenge? In fact, let's go by 15 because it was all unexpected challenges.
Okay, so an unexpected challenge was really not knowing that you didn't have a favorite child. You couldn't have that favorite, but that each child deserved a different type of care, a different type of attention. Some you had to keep your eye on more, which doesn't necessarily mean you love them more or you're their favorite. And then there's the one who has the easier birth year. So, of course, their year is going to be all your passcodes and passwords and all that stuff. So, making sure that each child knows they are loved in their own way. And there's this certain measure of love and attention that you have for each child. It is not equal. It is not, it can't be equal because they are
Okay.
not the same and they need something different. And that was a challenge to realize and understand and navigate and parent and nurture accordingly.
Thank you for saying that because everybody knows, and I'm not going to ask you to tell, but you know who. We all know there's one. They all say, oh, no, I don't have you live. Moving on. The next question. All right. Conversely, what was an unexpected joy?
Oh, the unexpected joy is that my children like me.
Oh,
They like being with me. They like
aw.
going places with me. If there's a concert, they call me. Do I want to go?
Oh.
It's one thing for your children to love you.
Mhm.
My children like
Like
me.
you. Oh, I got chill bumps. And there's a big distinction in those two words also.
Yes.
So good for you. So you know you've done something right and you're doing something right. We're on time. I'm getting ready to get you out of here on time. We are already at our fun question. I can't believe you and I did it, but we did. Your fun question is, I can't wait to hear the answer to this.
Oh, goodness.
If you could only eat 3 foods for the rest of your life, Joylyn, what would they be?
Oh man, Cozy, why didn't you ask me that before I got my report from my doctor last week? Okay.
Wait a minute. Did you not pick that question? You don't remember
Yeah.
picking this? Oh, okay.
I didn't. Remember, that was the only one I didn't pick, and you said you would just come up with one. Okay, so here we go.
Wait, because I asked this last week. So here's a good one for you.
Okay.
If you could pick a new first name, what would it be?
Joy. I know my name is Joy Lynn, but I would pick Joy because I truly embody that.
You do.
Like, I come from such a dark place when I had started to tell you I hated me, I hated the world, and now I am just joy. I choose joy every day. It's not just my name. It just wouldn't be my name. It would be my purpose, my assignment, my mission, my goal, just
Wow.
plain old joy. You know, like Beyonce, I'm just joy.
And that makes sense. That makes sense, and you're true. You embody everything that is joy, that is joyful, that's enjoyable.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank
Dang it, I
you.
gave you the wrong. I did give you the right question. I've got to start figuring out if people are really sending me their fun questions. I almost messed up. However, we are on time. Did you enjoy yourself? Did you enjoy yourself?
I did. I always enjoy myself with you, Cozy. Your
Oh,
energy, whether it's in person, whether it's virtual, it's so genuine, it's so powerful, it's so magnetic that how can
oh.
you not when Miss Cozy's in the room?
And you don't help. That's why it's telling me to talk slow. It's like I got Joy Lynn. Oh, so I said, when this woman comes on, listen, watch the sparks that's gonna come off of her. This show is gives me more joy. Sorry, not abusing it or making puns than I could ever imagined. For the audience out there who doesn't know much or anything, I really love children, and I'm really glad I didn't have any. But if I can make a difference, well, that's another show, in the lives of people who have either planned or unplanned, and so what? Because now I've had enough parents on here who did not plan their births, but handled it with grace and respect and love and cherish these children and have raised them and are raising them to be what we need in society, more responsible adults. Every day we hear on a program, someone will say, well, how do we change it? How do we change it? Parents, you can help change this world by telling your kids no, telling them that you love them, and steering them in the right direction. They're not always going to like you, but who knows? You may grow up kids like Joy Lynn's who not only love you, but they like you. And what has been proven to be true, when they don't love you and they don't like you, they don't like us.
Amen.
They don't like any of us, and we all are the bearers of that bad fruit.
Yes.
So what I'd like to say is, first of all, come back again next week. Oh, I have 2 books on Amazon. Every week I forget to talk about my books. Cozyisms, The Art of Paying Attention. Go to Amazon. Please purchase these books. You'll get more of my witticism, more of my personality, a lot of humor, and some great art. Cozyisms, The Art of Paying Attention. I am also always looking for more parents who would like to showcase their wonderful work. And I'd really like to have more dads. I'm looking for more dads to come on because they are also out there doing their job. Folks, again, thank you for joining Cozy Up and Pay Attention to Parent Edition. Unless God knows something that I don't, we'll be back here next Tuesday at 2:00. And when you know better, you do better. Talk to you soon.